Pablo and Alexis, it's great to see you again. We were together last week in Vegas and enjoyed a great summit. Long days, many meetings, a lot of new information. And as I've been thinking about this, I think the key theme for me overall was just the impact of AI and how much it's already impacting what we're doing today, and specifically as far as with the Adobe platform. So what I'd like to do right now is just to take a moment to break it down, what we saw, what we heard, but most importantly, what are the impacts to our customers? So starting with AI. What are some of the highlights of how Adobe is leveraging AI into their product strategy? And how do you see it impacting our customers overall, just to say within the next year? So let's keep it short to medium term.
It has been a long journey for Adobe in the AI. We all know that it's a hot topic and all companies are working on AI right now. Last year, they announced a couple of agents for specific tools. Agents that are really specific to build things on AEO, AEM. And now this year, they did a big announcement, which is something we consider a big shift in the tendency that they're doing. That is, they announced an orchestrator that enable the teams to handle all the specifications across all the platforms, across AEM, across AEO, AEP, and all the Adobe platforms, and lets the different teams to orchestrate the workflows to produce the final journey. Because what is happening now is that multiple teams need to switch between different platforms, between creating an audience in AEP, then go to create a journey in AEO, create the content in AEM, and now they consolidate everything into a orchestrate agent that they call customer experience enterprise, which is the one that they're going to centralize everything.
Completely agree with what you say, Alexis. It's a big move from Adobe, switching from agents in one platform and build an orchestrator. That was something our clients were already doing outside the Adobe ecosystem. So basically, Adobe needs to listen to the market and doing their own solutions.
Great. So can we provide some more specific examples as far as how AI is being infused into the platform, whether it's a content supply chain or just branding or just anything at this point?
Yeah, they released, for example, some features with brand visibility. This is related to LLMO. So position your brand in this new channel is having a big impact in retail specifically. These tools proactively shows what content needs to be improved and the actions that need to be taken. After Summit, Adobe announced officially the acquisition of SEMrush. So also is adding these AI visibility features that SEMrush came. So that's one of the examples that Adobe is pushing forward right now.
Yeah, and that covers like this whole journey that is not just about designing and having an agent that builds all the journey. It also like how you are going to optimize it. That's why this huge acquisition that Adobe did, that it's about how you are going to measure your impact using these AI tools and how you can optimize what you are building. So this is going to be a huge impact acquiring in this company that is the most popular companies in that position.
So putting myself in the shoes of a customer, a lot of information, a lot of change. AI is everywhere. I mean, the impacts are, just read the news and you hear about it every day. So from a customer perspective and pulling everything together, what are some of your key takeaways that you'd really like to highlight for customers who actually use the Adobe platform?
One of the most important things that we are thinking about is this agent-to-agent communication, which is something key. It's all over all the companies, and in this case, Adobe is doing something amazing that they are launching this orchestrator that is going to help a lot the companies to orchestrate this agent-to-agent communication. So right now, we went from going for a specific work and asking something really specific, that now we are integrating multiple agents that communicate between them in the background, and they are going to be the ones doing the work without human interaction. And the humans are going to be the ones approving and controlling all the workflow, which is something more human doing this kind of approvals and designing more than doing the actual work and doing the work in the background. So that's something that's going to change a lot. Key thing there is that we also need to consider that everything that is running in the background is still using the Adobe platforms. So having a healthy platform, like for example, a good implementation in AP with healthy data, with good data there, it's something really important. And that's where we, as partners, are doing a great job in our clients, providing a good solution. Like the foundation of AP HCO, it needs to be configured in a really good way with a good quality of data. And if you got that, then this orchestration and the agent-to-agent communication is going to work exceptionally. If not, if you don't have that good foundation, that's going to be a little bit tricky because everything is based on the APIs of all the tools of Adobe. So if you don't have a good foundation, then you're not gonna take the best of these agents.
Another impact is the AI changed a lot, improved a lot from a couple of months until now. And the way we used to work is going to change. The roles and the tasks we used to do are going to be different. And also is the area, the delimitation is kind of be fuzzy because with one agent you can execute some tasks that other areas used to do in the past. So into the process government perspective, companies need to adapt to this new change, understand the new processes and the new roles that the company needs in order to work with this agent and human in the loop.
Yeah, and just on that, I mean, what comes to mind is the whole CX Enterprise coworker concept, right? Where could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, exactly. So this coworker, what it's gonna do is based on your implementation and company implementation of Adobe tools, depending on which tools they acquire, they're gonna have a connection between all the different platforms. So let's put an example. You're a marketer and you want to launch a new campaign. So you need different specific things to accomplish first before launching a new campaign. You need an audience that probably you're gonna go to AP, you create the audience and publish the audience to different destinations. Then you need to create a journey in HEO with different conditions and different message for each channel. And then you need to go to CCA and review the analysis and do all different things in different platforms. And right now, what's going to happen is that you're going to have this orchestrator. You can easily ask and design all these different tools, steps. And the orchestrator is going to go to each specification and create the audience with the audience agent, then go to HEO and create the journey with an agent. And then when you want to measure the results, the orchestrator is going to use the CGA agent to create the report and give you the result of that specific campaign. So as Paulo was saying, work is going to change. We need to adapt to this new way of working instead of just switching between different tabs and different platforms. You're going to need to start thinking about the full journey, full orchestration, instead of just doing specific work in specific tools. That's going to change a lot, and we need to adapt in our offering. So that's something we are already doing actually outside Adobe and inside Adobe.
So we touched on this before, but it was I remember sitting in one of the keynotes and just really talking about brand visibility in an AI mediated world and how before it was all about SEO clicks and clicks, and now it's just like no, you got to customize for agents, and so you're actually trying to get brand visibility agents. And so could you talk a little bit about that?
Yep. Traffic is increasing more and more from LLMs. Some companies, the content that is not AI readable, for example, they use JavaScript to render the content, and that is not a good format for LLMs. And also, some companies are having decrease on organic traffic from traditional search and increasing from LLMs, and having this zero click issue. In the past, we used to measure the traffic for click through rates, and now clients are interacting directly with our brand from a chatbot. So we need to adapt the content to be ready for the bot. Is going to be new KPIs, brand visibility, mentions, citations, sentiment analysis. These tools also unlock some features that we didn't have in the past. For example, compare your brand citations with your competitions and what are the products and services you are doing better or worse in other areas with the competition. So this is something we are already helping our clients to define a maturity level on LLM readiness and what are the actions that need to be taken to be improved.
Moving forward a little bit, just bringing us closer to what we do on a day-to-day basis, what can we start doing differently today as far as with our current projects and in the short term?
What things that we can do differently right now is try to leverage more and more these agents. Some of our clients are building their own orchestrator. You don't need to have an end-to-end process. You can start small with 2 different type of agents and orchestrate with them and leverage the API that Adobe already has. Adobe now is announcing some MCPs in different solutions that will reduce the amount of effort to build this orchestrator. So meanwhile, we don't know how this CX Enterprise Coworker is going to be licensed, is going to be able to generate new content for every audience or for just a small amount of people. Also, we don't know yet the type of LLMs and how it's going to integrate with the CX Enterprise Worker. You can start now building your own orchestrator outside the Adobe ecosystem and start integrating the tools with the API that already developed.
Yeah, and a great point there, Pablo. You mentioned that to start small, because this full orchestrator is nice, but it's gonna connect all the tools, and companies probably don't have like the full foundation in a healthy way to start connecting all the agent to agent. I mean, from the whole journey. So starting small, like trying a specific agent for a specific piece of data, not all the data of a client, and then communicate them with another platform with a small use case. That's something we need to start doing, and it's also a short-term thing that all the clients can do and can provide a big impact, because this full orchestration is these foundations to work.
This also is going to change the way you work, the processes and responsibility from different teams. So start small and alignment different areas is the new way of working. It's good to start small and control environment.
So I know we've had some conversations with some clients, and it was a little bit daunting, I think, for some folks, because there was so much information and it's moving so fast. So is there anything that we could activate for our customers today with relatively low impact, but I mean, low effort, but high impact?
As I mentioned before, this orchestrator outside the Adobe ecosystem, that's something we already have proven track on some clients are already gaining efficiency. Just to put an example, you can orchestrate a campaign outside the Adobe ecosystem, analyze the audience that you want to impact, create the audience using this agent, and trigger the landing page and the email campaign, integrating with the Adobe ecosystem, but with an outside orchestrator.
Yeah, exactly. And now Adobe is also launching some MCPs, that Pablo mentioned. This week they launched the AEP MCP and the Adobe Analytics and CGA MCPs. So this is gonna help a lot to translate the agent communication to the Adobe APIs, because these new tools of Adobe are all API based. That's something really good that Adobe did a few years ago, that everything is API based. So now you can connect an agent to MCP that's going to connect to the APIs, and basically you can do anything using agents without going to the actual UI of the platform. And we are working with a client on these analytics MCPs. We are giving it a try and see how it works, and the same with the AEP MCPs. So probably in a few weeks we are going to see the results and what are the things we can orchestrate using only these agents and the MCPs. So probably in a few weeks we are going to get good results there.
Could you maybe touch, though, on a little bit, maybe it's more relating to AI, but just the importance of your data and the state of your data?
I think one of the most important things about data and this agent way of working is that probably we're going to, from a reactive way of designing like all the journeys based on a campaign, on an event we are going to be launching, to a more proactive way of doing things. So the agent is going to tell you, well, if you're doing this in this way, why not doing this in parallel with this information that I have? So there's going to be a recommendation and a feedback from the agent that is going to improve our way of designing the campaigns and how we create audiences of people and how we send the message on each touch point. But that is going to happen. That recommendation can happen only if you have a good quality of data. It's using the data from all the touch points. And if you don't have like that good foundation of data and a good foundation in AP and all the schemas and your profiles, then the agent is not going to be able to give you that recommendation in a good way. Or maybe what could be even worse, it could give you some recommendations that are not really accurate because your data is not accurate. So the foundation part is really important, and that's something we probably need to focus in the next months with clients to have a healthy foundation. So when they enable these agents, they are going to have a good result.
And to complement that, besides the data, you need to define clear guardrails for the agent and control context also to achieve better results.
So going back to talking with customers, what conversations should we start having with customers today as they're looking at this wave of technology, AI, and automation and change within their organizations?
With brand visibility, what I humble recommend is start measuring and comparing the traffic, organic traffic versus LLM traffic. Try to also compare the conversion rate, the user journey between those. And if the amount of traffic from LLM is really high, you need to act quickly. If not, you can start working being prepared when that traffic is going to increase. And from the agentic approach, if there are some processes that now have some frictions, for example, in the content supply chain to create a content variation or to activate in certain channels, leverage your previous content, build a RAG system, and start using AI to create new content in those channels that right now you don't have the speed to be able to tackle them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really important. And so review your current way of orchestrating things, because if you are going to move to these orchestrators, you're going to need first understand in your company how you're doing things right now and how you can optimize them. And the other thing that I mean, Pablo, we discussed this last week during the summit is how Adobe is going to license all these AI agents and how much the companies are going to be using them and what is going to be the price, what is going to be the cost of that usage. Because it's okay that you can orchestrate everything, you can consume a lot of tokens, but at the end of the day, the cost of using this new orchestration needs to get you to a better results and to get you a better revenue, because if not, it makes no sense. So at this moment, there is no official announcement of how it's going to be Adobe licensing this new agentic ways of doing things. So that's something we need to also start discussing with clients and see if it makes sense or not to use the orchestration everywhere, maybe using for a specific use cases, for specific audiences of people. And that's a discussion we need to start.
Well, I think this is a good place to wrap. So thank you both. Great to see you. And I guess we'll see you next year in Vegas.
It was nice seeing you guys.